I have to shift focus here a little bit. It's something that I've always wanted to ask you. I believe they say breaking down the fourth wall in wrestling terms, but I want to talk a little bit about you in your mixed martial arts career. I don't want to focus too much on that career, but you becoming a personality, kind of turning heel, and we're starting to see that a lot in professional grappling. You mentioned Gordon Ryan, trolling people and just going off on people. Can you tell me a little bit about that, and why you felt it was necessary to do it at that time? And do you see any of that going on in submission grappling and pro grappling? And what are some of these guys doing right, and what are they doing wrong, Chael? Because if anyone's going to tell them what to do, it's got to be the man who invented it.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I never knew if I changed for the camera, if the camera had finally found me. I wrestled in college, and it was very hard to get an interview. It was very hard for anybody, even our local paper, to want to cover the wrestling team. But my interviews were so over the top back then that I got put on the banned list. The coach pulled me, said, "Hey, no, you can no longer do the interviews." And I remember trying to tell the coach, like, "No, coach, this is going to bring people in." And I was calling guys out, or I was insulting entire programs. And I wasn't doing it for attention. This is how I felt about it. If you want to do something about it, come answer for it. I was never doing it to bring people or to sell tickets. Some of it was to put myself in the right frame of mind. And some of it's because this is how I really felt about the guy. I only share that with you because I think that some of that hype is a very good thing. But I do see guys where it looks canned or it looks scripted, because it is canned, it is scripted, and that stuff's not going to get over the same. I think that Gordon Ryan, by example, who speaks up all the time, but he's very consistent. You might think that he's a dick, but he's very consistent with it. And I think that therefore there's an authenticness and there's a realness. And I would always encourage people to be themselves. An example that gets thrown out is to be yourself with the volume up. But there's a lot of truth to that. If you really want to compete with somebody, and I can tell you some of my bigger frustrations as a fan is when two guys did that. They had the back and forth, and the second the match is over, one of them grabs the mic and says, "Oh, this was all for hype." I remember Josh that against George St. Pierre, or Mike Tyson did it against Lennox Lewis. And I remember thinking, as the consumer, then you owe me my money back. That's fraud.
You got gypped.
You frauded me into buying this. So if it's real and you're a real competitor, I think that that's just as refreshing as the guy that comes out and tries to bow and be polite to your face, but he'll put a knife in your back as soon as you turn around. I don't see any honor in that. I disagree with people where they talk about, well, this is honor and sportsmanship and it's about respect. I don't see an honor in bowing to someone's face. If you're going to trash talk them as soon as they turn around, do it. Do it right to their face. Get some people in there, put it all on the line, live with the result. Maybe you'll be a hero, maybe you'll be embarrassed, but have the balls to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's just like you said, I think people have to understand that there is a time, there is a place for it. You need to do that. It needs to be natural. Some guys try to do it and it comes off very disingenuous. They just come off looking like dicks. And it's, at the end of the day too, you can't be lazy with that stuff. You can't be lazy playing that guy. You got to stay active on social media. You got to be calculated. And you got to win. One of the things you were good at is you played the role, but you won matches. And I think some guys try it, they lose, and then they come off looking like dorks. So
sure.
Thanks for the lesson there. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'll just add to what you're saying, Ricardo, because you're absolutely right, and that's what stops most people in the first place. When you do put yourself in a vulnerable spot, if you go out and you bring in a whole bunch of attention, and you promise you're going to go do something, and you don't do it, you do look like a fool. And that's not breaking news. People know that. So ahead of time, they get intimidated. They don't want to take that big risk and they don't do it. I mean, there is a real honor. There is a real courage in putting yourself in that spot, making sure that people are tuning in and trying to back up what you said. And I've been on both sides of it. It's very real. You can come out looking like a hero and you can come out looking like a doofus. But the people that took the courage in the first place, I think they deserve some level of credit. You're certainly right that if you're winning, it's a little bit easier. It'll keep that ball going. But there's a courage either way. To be Babe Ruth, to walk on the mound and say where you're going to put the ball, whether you put it there or not, there was a courage